Hello there, this is Lisa Gloria, and today I'm going to be doing a varnish comparison between GamVar and Conservator Products Company's UVS finishing varnish. I'm going to use these two paintings. This is a thick impasto painting. As you can see, it has a lot of surface texture. And the dark values are pretty sunken in. This one is a fairly smooth surface painting. It is very subtle, and the demonstration for this painting is episodes, I think, 2, 3, and 4 on my channel here. I'm going to use GamVar on this one, and then I'm going to use Conservators products on this one. Now, a lot of people say that you need to wait 6 months or a year to varnish. That actually is not true. I'll attach the material data safety sheet into the comments, or I'll link to it in the comments so you can read for yourself. What I do is the touch test, and the touch test is not just touching to see if it's dry, but to see if you can create an impression with your finger or with your, they say with your thumbnail, but I don't know, that scares me. I don't want to dig my thumbnail into something. So you support from the back with one finger on your other hand, supporting from the back, pressing from the front, and see if you leave an impression. If you don't leave an impression, then your painting is dry enough to varnish. The reason that we say that is because you want the varnish to be removable without cross-linking. Cross-linking is where it forms a bond. The varnish forms a bond with the top layer of paint, and then if you ever remove the varnish, you also remove the top layer of paint, which has happened. And some people say that that is why the Mona Lisa has no eyebrows. I'm not making that up. That's a real thing. So this is ready to dry. Did it wait a year? No. I think I finished this about 6 weeks ago. This one is also ready to be varnished. And it's only been done for about a week, but really thin layers of paint, so it dries pretty darn quickly. At this point, though, it's nice and it's sunken in, and a coat of varnish will not only protect it, it will also re-enrich the darks, especially, so that it kind of has the impression of still being wet paint. The other thing that varnish does is, well, the two varnishes that I'll be using today, they both have a UV coating and are removable in the future if anybody wants to revarnish it or conserve it for any reason. Usually, though, that won't be your problem. I do know that there are a lot of painters who send out paintings with no varnish on them. Perrin does that. I think Stephen Bauman says that he sends stuff out and doesn't varnish it. I think Daniel Keyes just said that as well. I think that they use a lot more medium in their paint than I do, and they must be satisfied with the way that it looks when it's dry. Because I don't use a whole lot of medium, I usually get a sinking in of the paint, and I lose the value in my darks, so I always varnish before I send out a painting. Okay, let's get started here. This is actually going to be a pretty short video. So in this jar, I have the GamVar crystals dissolved in the GamVar solvent. Now, that's how it used to come. I think now it actually comes in a bottle where the resin crystals are already dissolved. And following the instructions from GamVar, I have one brush that I always use. Then I let that brush dry and get hard. And then when I want to varnish something, I go ahead and leave the brush in my jar here until it gets soft again. The other implication of this is that the mineral spirits that they use are also what you would use to take it off if you wanted to remove it. But now I have a nice Kolinsky sable, which is what I always use. And it leaves no brush marks. I want to prepare the surface by brushing it with a new, clean, never used brush, or whatever it is that you want to use to remove dust. Now, I've only got regular dust because I don't have pets. But if you have cats, dogs, or birds, you've got a lot of dust, whether or not you think you do. And varnish will preserve that for all eternity onto the surface of your painting. As a matter of fact, a lot of paintings, I guess, have the cat of the painter memorialized in their surface. So for this, I've just got my brush, I dip it in, I put some on. Now, see how incredibly different that looks already? That's what you want in a varnish. Is it going to stay that way? Kinda. Once this dries, and what happens is the solvent evaporates off, leaving just the resin coating on top of the painting. So I'm going to spread this out from edge to edge. I'm going to make a little bit of a mess here. It doesn't smell like anything. Again, this is the GamVar that I'm using right now. It doesn't smell like anything. The odorless mineral spirits really are pretty odorless. And the work time is not bad. I mean, you should be able to, you don't have to panic and work super fast or anything like that. But it's quite thin. You can let this dry and do multiple coats if you wanna. And I suppose there are ways to make it less glossy, but I like glossy, so I've never really looked into those. By the way, if you are enjoying this video, if this is useful to you, please click like and subscribe and turn on the notification bells. The wise gods of YouTube are telling me that I need to post more than once a week, so I'm going to be doing that now. We'll do Fridays and Wednesdays. If I've got a little bit of dust on the surface, so check it in raking light, like tip it to see if you missed any spots. Make sure you've gone all the way from edge to edge and that there's nothing that's like glaringly obvious as far as drastic changes in the gloss of the surface, which would indicate an uneven application. But really, I mean, it ain't rocket surgery. You're just, if you know how to paint a painting, you probably figure out how to slap a pretty even coat of protective finish on there. Okay, you see? Now we have a nice shiny picture that looks pretty much like I painted it. Next, we're going to move on to the Conservators varnish. The reason that I started, I mean, I've had this jar for years. And one jar costs about, I think it was like $27 or something. Costs about $27 and lasts through dozens and dozens of paintings. Goes on forever. But my problem is when I used walnut oil as a medium, sometimes the surface, when I go to put the varnish on it, GamVar would bead up and would not attach to the surface. And then I would have to remove it all and abrade the surface lightly so I could create a mechanical bond and then try again. And that just kind of made me nervous about using walnut oil, which I really enjoy using. And so I kind of started looking for an alternative. And my friend Cindy Procius, also a wonderful painter, you can check her out at cindyprocius.com, she suggested to use this. So this is Conservator Products Company's UVS finishing varnish. You can find them online. I'll link to it in the comments, in the description rather. It comes in two parts. This can and this dropper. You mix 1 ounce of this with 4 drops of this. Now, if you've ever used a can like this, they suck. It really are not easy to use. So you're either going to want to make a cone around this to not end up with a whole bunch of stuff. This is a 2 ounce cup, and what I did, I got this at the dollar store, I think. This is a 2 ounce plastic cup. I took 2 ounces of water and measured it, right? It goes right to the top, 2 ounces of water. So then I took another cup, just like this, sat it right next to it, and I evenly distributed that 2 ounces of water. And then I made a mark so I knew where 1 ounce is. I'll show you at the end of this video how far 1 ounce goes. It's actually really, really far. 1 ounce does a whole lot of coverage. So this canister, I believe it's 32 ounces. I'm not really sure. This cost about $65 shipped to me. So it is a little bit more expensive. Well, it's going to cost about twice as much. But I think it's going to give me a lot of paintings. And so I'm not terribly concerned about it. So I'm going to go to the other room, the kitchen, and pour this out over the sink so I don't make a mess. I'm not going to do a full ounce because I frankly already varnished a bunch of paintings today and I don't have that many left. So I'm going to do 1/2 ounce, which will involve 1/2 ounce of this, 2 drops of this, and I'll be right back. Oh, and then I'm going to mix it with a toothpick. Be right back. Okay, so now I have mixed up 1/2 ounce of the varnish, which should be shaken first, by the way. Please read all the manufacturer's instructions and follow them. In case I miss a couple of things, I hopefully won't, but I did just miss that shake first thing, so here we are. 2 drops of this. I'm going to clean the surface of the painting, and I gotta tell you, I'm really excited about this because I really want to see her brought back to the beauty that she was a hot minute ago. So I'm using a nylon brush, 2 inches, brand new. Now, earlier today, when I did the test, so I would know what the heck I was talking about when I talked to you, I used a 1-inch brush, which I could dip into the cup. This is too big. And then I used mineral spirits and Dawn dishwashing liquid to clean it up, and that seems to have worked pretty good. I'm going to pour a little bit. Woo, yes. Oh my gosh. Now this is about the same consistency as the GamVar, maybe the tiniest bit. I'm starting at the center and working out. And I'm working on a flat, level surface. Oh, look at that. I mean, that really brings back a sense of presence. Because it's nice and thin, the very textured areas like the hair, I get pretty good coverage in there as well. But I do want to go carefully through this area and make sure I don't miss anything. This sets up a lot faster than the GamVar does, and I can feel it already getting a little bit tacky towards the center. So you want to move pretty quick. Get to all your edges. Sometimes I go diagonal across the edges and then brush off with a straight stroke. Another thing that I should mention is this smells a lot more than the GamVar does. GamVar is resin dissolved in odorless mineral spirits, and I believe that this is dissolved in naphtha, so it smells a lot like spray paint, which can be kind of overwhelming for some people. So if you're one of those people, this is not the product for you, or you'll want to have a good deal of ventilation to make sure that you can deal with the fumes. I'm just kind of hoping my landlady doesn't notice or get ticked off. All right, this is getting tacky, so I'm going to just give it another gander, make sure I'm not missing any spots. Okay. And she is. I mean, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to let her dry flat somewhere. I'm pretty satisfied with this as a varnish so far. The ones that I did earlier this morning also seemed to have cured, and I really like the surface. I didn't have any beating up problems. If I had done this with the GamVar, it would have beat it up all through here, everywhere where I glazed. It would have ruined the experience for me, honestly. So, last thing that I wanted to address is how far does that 1 ounce go? If you mix up 1 ounce of this, how many paintings can you do? Hold on, I'll show you. This many. This is about 720 square inches. 1 ounce of the Conservatives UV varnish does 720 square inches of fairly like smooth, let's say, oil paintings. Now, it's not completely dry, but I am really, really pleased with how it did. I mean, it's just exactly what you want in a varnish, isn't it? So, if you enjoyed this video, please click like and subscribe and turn on notifications, and I will post another video next Wednesday. Have a wonderful day. Thanks, bye.